Ladies and gentlemen, I am Tony Chimmel, and welcome to Road Trip After Hours. Please welcome your hosts, Mac Davis and WWE Hall of Famer, Teddy Long. Holler!
Welcome to an all-new episode of Road Trip After Hours. Due to technical issues,
you have no power here.
Mac and Teddy have asked that we share an interview they did with hosts Nathan and Joel of the Real Wrasslin' podcast at realwrasslin.net. Be sure to check them out.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Real Wrestling Podcast. And I am joined not by just one, but two incredible guests. Coming in from the comedic voice, the man with the smooth talking, Mac Davis. And alongside him, the WWE Hall of Famer, the man that brings you holla holla player. Ladies and gentlemen, Teddy Long. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. How are we today?
That sounds like a Johnny Carson introduction.
We are joined today by two amazing, as I've said before, two amazing guests. I am your host, Nathan Sinclair, and I'm joined by my co-host.
I'm Joel. What's up, guys?
All right, Joel.
What's happening, Joel?
All right, come on, Joel. You got to stay on top of it, player.
So we are here joined by two incredible guests, as I've said before. They are the hosts of an incredible podcast, and as I said to you, this gives Matt gives the voice that is, smooth talking, comedic, and then you have that incredible wrestling knowledge and brain of Teddy's over there at Road Trip After Hours. Where will we have to find you guys?
You can find us anywhere where the podcast platform is out there. Any podcast platform, just look up Road Trip After Hours, and on YouTube. In fact, we actually encourage Teddy and I all the time, subscribe to that YouTube channel of Road Trip After Hours. And the reason being, we're about to start giving away prizes, and you have to be subscribed to win. So everybody listening and watching right now, subscribe right now, because you could be winning prizes soon.
Woo!
That's it.
Yeah. Now that's what I like to hear. So remember, guys, go ahead and subscribe, and you never know, you may be a lucky so-and-so. But of course, we have come to talk to you guys and find out, pick those brains of yours and hear those stories, because that is what we like to hear, and that is what our audience will also love to hear. So if you don't mind, I'm going to start with the man that did bring us holla holla, player, one-on-one with The Undertaker, Teddy Long. So,
hey, I'm ready to go.
This is brilliant. And so, for myself, so you're aware, we, growing up, watching you over in the WCW days, knowing you as that referee.
I started in the NWA.
You did down in Carolina, is that right?
Yeah, well, it was out of Georgia, but it was for Jim Crockett Promotions, which was based out of Carolina. But I lived in Atlanta, and they started taping the TV shows in Atlanta at the TBS studios. So that's how I got hooked up and ended up working with NWA.
Now, in fact, Teddy's so old in the wrestling business, he actually wrestled Abe Lincoln. That's the truth. That's the truth. Teddy, am I lying?
No.
You're incredible.
I heard there's a rumor. There's a rumor out there. Can you confirm? Did you sit behind Jesus in the third grade?
No, I sit in front of him.
You sit in front of him. Oh,
yeah.
In front of him. Okay.
But what you guys got to understand, a lot of people see when people talk about people being old, it's a lot of people be offended about that. That don't bother me. Numbers are going to come. If I live next year, I'll be another year older. So, but just take a look at me and you see the shape that I'm in, then you ain't going to be worried about talking about how old I am, because I don't worry about no numbers. You know what I mean? Numbers are going to come. Just stay healthy and stay alive.
Oh, that is what we love to hear.
That's
Because
what I'm talking about.
you know, as we know, and you know, as many of our listeners know, you are a living legend, Teddy. For many of our listeners, you were the face, you were the GM of obviously SmackDown, and you gave us some incredible lines. But like you said, you know, you did start Jim Crockett Promotions. You officiated as well within the NWA, and if I'm right in thinking, you worked alongside the legendary referee that was Tommy Young. Is that correct?
That's correct. Tommy Young. Yeah, I did a lot. Me and Tommy rode together for a little while, and I kind of hung out with him, and learned a lot from Tommy Young. And in fact, I happened to see him, I guess maybe about 2 or 3 months ago. Mac and I were up in Rome, Georgia at a fan fest, and Tommy Young was there. So I had the opportunity to see Tommy.
Wow, that's incredible to hear. You know, absolutely.
And I also saw him at WrestleCade too. He was at WrestleCade too. I got a chance to see him there too.
Nice. It's always good. It's obviously always good to hear that you're still able to connect those memories. And I'm assuming as soon as you saw him, it was exactly like you were back on the road again.
Yeah, well, it was just good to see him, man. You know, it's always good to see the guys that you broke in with, you know, especially, you know, they're still alive and they're healthy and they're doing okay. Because a lot of guys I broke in with, you know, they're not around anymore. They've gone, you know, to meet their maker. And a lot of them are, you know, are injured or in bad shape, you know, can't even get around and stuff. So, you know, that's why I stress so hard, you know, please take care of yourself. You know, don't just go and train just because you in professional wrestling. What about when you leave professional wrestling? You're going to need to keep yourself going there. So I urge everybody, and Mac will tell you, I stay on him all the time, man. Get in the gym, start eating right. Because I done did everything, man. I done put everything in my body, A to Z. So God has spared me. I'm still alive. So why would I keep doing that stupid shit? So, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So you got to come to your senses and let you know if the man is keeping you around, then you must still have a purpose, but you got to help him out. So the way I help him out is by staying in the gym, training and eating healthy and doing the right thing. And, you know, just doing, you know, whatever needs to be done to keep myself alive.
Oh, I'm not going to lie, Teddy.
Right.
I would not want to mess with you at any point, especially if you are in that gym hitting those weights, because I bet you could give us a good old SmackDown when we need it.
Oh well, I do what I do.
Teddy is probably one of the most. Teddy is one of the most physical and enduring people that I know when it comes to his endurance. He can get on a treadmill and outdo me and anybody else I know at my age or even younger. He can go. In fact, he cut a promo from the gym on New Year's Day to show everybody he was in the gym and working out 45 minutes into that workout. And he's doing this video, and you would think he just got on the treadmill because his speech is just smooth as silk. No heavy breathing, nothing.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that's coming from your the old ref days of your great cardio there, Teddy.
Well, it comes from, you know, me training for over 20 years. You know what I mean? My body has adjusted to that. And that's why I'm able to still do that. And if I don't do that hour cardio, then my body doesn't act right. It's not happy with me. It says to me, hey, come on, man, you did the hour today. Yesterday? What about today? So that's when I tell my mind, you know, go leave me alone. And then I continue to go on. So you have to just get in control, man, because the mind, like I said, it's a terrible thing to waste, but you got to, you know, don't pay attention to it much because it'll get you in trouble. It'll have you where you start making excuses.
Ooh,
yes.
Look at that word of wisdom on the Real Wrestling Podcast. Look at that. Oh, love it, Teddy, love it. So after, you know, Ted Turner had bought the company down, you know, and brought it all up, you transitioned into a manager, you know, managing great names like Doom, you know, Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, and even the man that, you know, you became very, very well known with, Mean Mark Callis. Is that if I remember, that is correct, if I remember right?
That is correct, Mean Mark Callis.
There we go. And did you see the spark? Did you see that spark in him then? Did you see him becoming where he's come today?
Well, you know, I didn't understand the business then. You know what I mean? Because at that particular time, you know, I was in when me and Mark got together was in WCW. And when I was in WCW, you know, it's like on the job training. Nobody's gonna tell you nothing, you know, because they don't want you to learn. They don't want you to know. So, but I had a few friends there. You know, God rest in his soul. Harley Race was another guy that took me on his wing a little bit and helped me out a whole lot. So I love him. Kevin Sullivan, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, God rest his soul. Those are two guys that I rode with that I learned so much from because they were the great minds of this business. Kevin Sullivan was the creator of the NWO. Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert had WCW and the Jim Crockett Promotions on fire, okay? Because, I mean, these guys are just new to business, and I'm just so lucky and blessed to be able to ride with both of them and to get that knowledge from them. So that, you know, just great for me, man. So like I said, I just enjoyed, you know, what I did, and I was able, once I got to Vince, then I understood more about the wrestling business. I understood what it meant to draw money, how to get over, and what it was all about, because I didn't know, I didn't understand. So I was lucky enough to get into WWF at the time, 1998. And then after Vince discovered me, I never forget, Vince McMahon came to me and told me one time, I cut this promo. The first night I walked out, I was with D'Lo Brown, was the first guy, and I cut this promo on Tommy Dreamer. And I walked back in, and Vince McMahon looked at me and he said, I couldn't believe I've had you here under my nose all this time. Because at the time I was refereeing. And so Vince, you know, he didn't know, but there were a lot of people in that office that did know. And I have to thank Sergeant Slaughter, Michael Hayes, and Earl Hebner, because those were the three guys that told Vince McMahon what I could do. And that's when he called me back to have me come back to WWE when Laura Niders fired me. And I went back to work at WWE. And that was the night I walked out with D'Lo Brown and cut that promo on Tommy Dreamer.
Just listen to that.
Awesome stuff.
History. Listen.
Hey, I have a question. Obviously, we know this business comes with a lot of traveling. Out of all the cities that you've ever been to, what are some of your favorite cities that you've traveled to?
Well, I just never really had a favorite city because, you know, I never did stay anywhere long enough to really, you know, see what the city was or what it was all about. I mean, you know, in this business, you know, you're in one town one night and the next night you're somewhere else. But I always did really enjoy going to Corpus Christi, Texas. I loved that. And at the time then I was drinking too, you know, and so they had a place there called Walter's Oyster Bar, and they sold these margaritas for $1. And brother, unbelievable.
Oh,
so
man.
I'd love to go to Corpus to Walter's Oyster Bar. And I'd tell you another thing too, I also love coming to the UK. I had a great time
there
in the
we
UK.
go.
Yeah, I always
love
I didn't
to hear
mind
it.
coming. Especially when we did the tours, you know, when we were there for 15, 14 days, you know, then that's when I had a chance to, you know, kind of get around and see parts of the city. But London, Jesus, I loved it. The water there. Oh, yeah, man.
Teddy,
I love going over there. Yeah.
London
And
is nice. Yeah, I went there a couple years ago.
And I couldn't wait to call my wife, you know, and send pictures back, you know, and let her know, you know, just how beautiful it was, you know, and look at me, I'm in London, England. Who would have ever thought it?
My wife wouldn't have let me leave the house and go to London without her.
Well, Teddy, you are welcome back anytime. You give me a call, we'll go out. I'll show you some more London sites. You can know the real London because I think you will enjoy it, my friend. And Mac, obviously not forgetting yourself. Come on, you got to have traveled. You got to have seen some fun places. Come on, what are we looking? What are we talking? Come on, where are you thinking?
Well, I tell you what I did remember though. I went to Wales one time, and you know, that was a pretty nice place too. You know, I enjoyed that. I don't know, man. I'm just open for anything. You know, wherever you want to take me and show me, then I'm just ready to go. I got no special place.
That's what I like to hear.
Do you and Mac have a place that you guys traveled together that you remember fondly?
We've been to several places.
Yeah, and the most traveling that we did it last year back. We did our show in Nashville, Tennessee at the time that they were having a SummerSlam there. And Mac and I were part of Wrestle K. We went over there, and did the meet and greet and stuff. And so, me and Mac was in, like I said, in Rome, Georgia for the Fan Fest. We work with an organization called the IWN, but we don't know how we stand with them, and we don't really care. So, but anyway, yeah, so I said that to let them know you can't gonna stop me and Mac. Me and Mac are gonna move on, player.
Nice.
We have done this show for those who are wondering. We developed the show that we do, Road Trip After Hours, as a way to tell people to go F themselves, basically, because people kept saying you can't do this, you can't do that. And our point was to go, yes, you can. And to prove that anything is possible if you just put your mind to it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I gotta want to do it.
I absolutely love it. So, Teddy, I'm going to address an elephant, and I'll be honest, a childhood question I have for you. Who came up with the tag team gimmick, player? Come on. Who was the one that came up with that? Was that yourself? Was that someone else? Where did it come from?
Well, let me explain that to you. I came up with player, and I will tell you about both of them. All right. The player came from my dog. I had a dog. I had a big Labrador Retriever. And every time he'd move around in the house, I'm like, move out the way, player. Come on, player. Will you move? Get out the way. And I just started saying it to him. Okay. So then the next thing I did, I went to TV, and I just took it to TV, and I started saying it on my own. And plus it was a slang too, that a lot of, not trying to be racist, but a lot of the black guys said, rappers and said, come on, player this, player that. So I kind of, took it from that. That's how I started saying it to the dog. Now on the tag team match, the way I made that so special is because one time Vince McMahon, I heard him talking, and he was talking to somebody about they had introduced him, but they didn't introduce them like he wanted them introduced. He wanted them to put some flair on their name. And he went, and I stood back. He didn't even know I was listening, and I watched him rehearse it to them and told them just exactly how he wanted that done. So all I did was went out, and I remembered Vince. He said, this is what he wanted, and I just remembered him. And then I went out and I said, right now we're going to have ourselves a tag team match. And that's putting emphasis on it, and that's how Vince wanted it done. Yeah. Well, that's how the tag team match started.
Oh, wow.
Just like that.
It's
crazy how that happens sometimes.
Yeah,
and it blew up. I guess I remember watching it, and I remember vivid as day. All of your incredible, the way in which you presented yourself, and like I said, with the Undertaker's thing, that was also, I remember that. You're gonna go 1-on-1 with the Undertaker. You know what I mean? There you go. Chills. Oh, well, Mac. Let's chat with you a little bit, my friend. Let's chat with you.
That's dangerous.
Well, being a former comedian, radio.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
Hey, come on.
No.
Give yourself some credit, my friend. Like I said, you're the smooth talking comedic genius here that I'm talking about. Hey, come on.
No, I got a radio background where I used to do morning radio, but as far as a comedian, I wouldn't say that. I just have a flair for like having a good time. The same as Teddy. The reason Teddy and I get along so well is because Teddy and I are two of a kind in reality. We both like to have fun. We both believe in telling people to go F themselves if they don't think something can be done. And Teddy is embedding it in my head now that age doesn't matter and get my ass in the gym. And I listen to him. So.
See, I love it. And that's funny enough. I was literally about to say to you and Teddy, how did you two meet? What do how did this all come about?
Teddy and I, we've known each other for quite some time, but we didn't start working together really until we started working with a company a couple years ago that he mentioned a while ago. And while we were there, Teddy and I developed After Hours and started really kind of fine tuning what we thought would be an interesting program. And Teddy, the reason I knew it was going to work was because Teddy jumped in immediately, because I think Teddy saw the same thing, that this was something that we really believe in. It's different than any other podcast out there. With Teddy and I and our personalities and the ability to have fun with one another and not take things so seriously, Teddy and I are just two of a kind that make for a fantastic show. I know your producer right now is in the background. He knows very well about our show, and he has helped us along the way, and we thank him very much as well. So if anything he tells you guys, the producer, listen to what he's telling you. I promise. He's gotten Teddy and I to do many things, and we're happy so far.
He's actually saying right now that
I want to touch on that there a little bit too, and what Max said, about me jumping right in on it. The reason I jumped in on it because, like I said, I've known Mac, before we even started talking about this podcast. Mac has always been a guy that's been out on his own and did his own thing. So Mac would always, be at some of the wrestling events, and he'd bring his microphone and stuff, and he'd try to interview as many guys as he could, to try to, get his own thing started. So I did a couple of interviews with Mac, before we even hooked up. I took the time to do them. Then, anybody else, I'd have charged them. But I didn't do that to Mac because I saw he was just out there on his own, man, struggling, trying to get going. So I'm like, hey, whatever I can do to help this guy get started, let me help him out. So that's how I really met Mac over the years. And then after me and him got together again, we was talking about this promotion that I mentioned earlier. And then that's when we really started talking because, we were around each other much more. So I got with Mac because I quit doing podcasts. And the reason I quit doing the podcast is because the last one I did, I had some guy I did two. I had one guy that edited some and put in my voice that I call Ahmed Johnson an idiot. I never said that. Yeah. Next thing I know, Ahmed Johnson is putting out threats all over social media, what he's going to do to me when I come to Texas and all this. The next one, I told the guy, I said, I didn't come up with excuse me for Vicky Guerrero. What I said to Vicky Guerrero was one day we was at ringside and Vicky moving around or something. She moved me or something. And she says, excuse me. And it just caught me. And I said to her, I said, that's it, Vicky. I said, just, let's go with that. So Vicky came up with that, not me. I just made Vicky aware that we could use that. But this guy put in on the podcast that I invented it, that I created it. And so I'm like, okay, these guys are just doing anything just to try to get numbers. So I quit doing them. And the only reason I got with Mac because I thought Mac was serious and we could do this and we could do it right. So that's, you give the credit to Mac because I'm telling you, I had frowned on all the podcasts. I wasn't going to do any of them. But so Mac, kind of got me to going. And so I seen he was serious. And so that's why I came out and we got this thing After Hours.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm, glad to hear that people will hear it from us as well. When what you have just said is what you have just said. It's not, we're not going to take sound bites anywhere. We're not going to do anything. We report true, exactly what's come out of the mouth. And Teddy, great to hear that you've been able to set that record straight, and we want to be able to help set that record straight for you.
Right.
So it's
like I said, and I appreciate that too. And like I said, when Mac, suggested I come and talk with you guys, I said, if Mac's down with it, then I'm cool with it.
Nice. Well, it's good to hear, and thank you, Mac. Thank you.
Hey, I thank Teddy. In fact, he said a couple of things right now I didn't even know about not doing podcasts and agreeing to do mine after not wanting to do them. So that's actually makes me feel pretty good that he did that. I've never known that, but thank you, Teddy. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I didn't. Got to be some good self-esteem boost.
Oh yeah. I got a big head now. My wife's in trouble tonight.
Yeah, those guys put a bad taste in my mouth, man. So
understandable.
I'm done with it because I don't want nobody lying on me saying I'm saying something and that can get you hurt. Some guy, Ahmed Johnson, want to be violent with me, and I don't really, I don't even think I ever met him.
I tell you though, Teddy, I got to tell you, Teddy, I think you could take him.
Well, I mean,
Say something.
well, like I said, I don't even know him. I just know talk of him through Bradshaw and Ron, when they were back there, working with him, and Bradshaw used to, mention him and Ron would talk about him. And then Godfather, they worked with him. I never even met the guy.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There we go. Well, look, record set straight, guys. Listen to the words that come directly from the man's mouth. Don't take clickbait. Don't do any of that. That's what we're going to hopefully get that out and let people know that what Teddy Long says is what Teddy Long says and it's true. Well,
Right.
Yes.
I mean, look, I'm going to ask a little question
Right.
here. So as you can guess, Joel and I, podcast hosts together, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult. Sometimes he struggles to reel me back in. So,
Okay.
Mac, I'm going to ask you this. What is it like doing a show with Teddy Long? What is it like?
Easy. That's
Easy.
one word. Easy.
Ooh!
Teddy and I, people are going to be surprised to know this, but Teddy will call me on the day that we film.
Mhm.
Right before we film, and he asked me, "What are we going to talk about?" And I don't tell him everything we're talking about. Some of it I want to be a surprise, but we don't prep this show. All I do is I get the questions together because I want our conversation to be real in the moment. Because too many times
Right.
there's a lot of podcasts, they'll go out there and they'll tell the guest exactly what we're going to say and what we're going to do. And it takes the natural involvement of that conversation to happen. And so with Teddy and I, it's just, let's just see what's going on in the news. And we just start talking and we have a good time and we speak our mind bluntly at times, but that's only because sometimes it's needed. But more times than not, we're just having a good
Right.
time and we want everybody else to have a good time while, watching the show. And we always say our podcast is not like any other podcast out there. I promise you there's a difference and you need to see it on YouTube to really see the full effect of what Road Trip After Hours actually is.
Oh,
And how can they
we've seen
find it?
Go on.
They
how
can
we
find us
it?
on YouTube. Yeah, you can find us right there on YouTube at Road Trip After Hours.
Nice. And look, Joel has been ever since, we know Joel's been watching. So Joel, go on, give your review here, Joel. Go on. Tell the world just exactly how this podcast is, because I know you've enjoyed it.
This podcast has been awesome. I've had a
Joe.
great time talking to you guys, listening to your guys' stories. Incredible to hear some of the things that even Mac didn't hear. He heard it with us the first time, So I appreciate you coming on here, Teddy and Mac, and blessing us with your voices, especially Mac there with that golden voice.
Well, hey Joel, thank you so much, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me on here, man. And thanks. I know Mac thanks you, man. And we're just happy we can do it. And like I said, we ain't gonna be shy. If we can, come on sometime, in the later, date or something, we'll be happy to do it again.
Ooh, that's
Yeah, because
what I
it's
like to
unusual
hear.
for us
That
because
sounds
we're
good
so
to me.
used to asking the questions all the time that it's unusual to have somebody ask us questions. So it's actually a day off if you want to know the truth of the matter.
Say, how's the hot seat feel? How does that hot seat feel, guys?
Actually, it's much easier than doing the show.
I love to hear it. Love to hear it. Well, I'm gonna ask you both just one more question, just a little one. So, thoughts on the current product out there? What's our thoughts on it from both of you? Are
I'll
you
go first.
enjoying it?
I'll go first just so I don't have I want Teddy to go last so he can close the show.
Okay.
The current product for me is getting better, I would say, when it comes to WWE. The creative direction has changed somewhat, and I think that's made a big difference in the presentation. They still have a lot of things to fix, but at least they're going the right direction. Whereas I think with AEW, I'm not so sure their direction's that clear anymore. At one time, they were hot, and they were, everybody wanted to be the boyfriend, girlfriend of AEW and ride that wave. But that wave has seemed to kind of start to go down. And to be honest with you, a lot of it's from bad decision making, which Teddy and I have talked about on After Hours. That press conference with CM Punk at All Out certainly was a game changer for AEW. It brought a lot of things to light. And honestly, I hope that things work out between Punk and AEW, because I think that's what they need. I think it's what he needs in order to get his, his persona back over again, for AEW to save some face, because like I say, they made a bad decision. And if they don't do that, I'm worried about the future of AEW. I really am. You've already lost Cody, and now you've lost Punk, and you've lost William Regal too, which was huge. William Regal, he came on the scene in AEW and was just incredible in his performances that he was doing out there. And when he had to go, I was like, God, there's somebody else I love to watch every week. But he was gone back to WWE to work with his son. Teddy, on the other hand, what do you think?
Well, my thing is this: I won't be as long as you, Mac. I'll make this real short and sweet. With WWE, like you said, I agree with you. It's certainly getting better. It's the show's a lot better. I watch it not all the time, but I do watch it now. And my thing is this: the Attitude Era was the deal. That was the deal. There's no more Attitude Era. And then I see a lot of the young talent now, nobody's selling anything in the ring. You hit a guy, he's right back up, it's nobody, nobody knows how to get over. There are certain people there that do, but all is real simple. All you got to have in this business, some good versus evil. It's just that simple. So, a lot of some guys that there's no more heat no more, like now when the baby faces, hit the ring, there's no big reaction, waiting from the people, yeah. Now what you gonna do? It's just, like I said, it's getting a lot better in WWE. I'm telling you right now, they're getting back. But that's what I said. They got to work with those young kids, though, man. They got to stay on them about selling and about knowing how to get over and make people believe, make yourself believable. AEW, I heard some talk that was said about me, from somebody that worked there that I'm pretty sure they wasn't lying. So my thing with AEW, they're not concerned about me and I'm not concerned about them. So I don't watch it.
Fair enough. That's fair enough to hear from the two of you, and it's good to hear. Obviously, get your perspective on it, being the brains in which both of you are, and the stature that you have. So, look, I don't want to. I really don't want to, but we're gonna have to wrap this up.
I don't either.
But one more time, where can we find Road Trip After Hours? Where can we find yourselves? Go on, plug away, guys. The floor is yours.
All right. Road Trip After Hours. You'll find us on YouTube at Road Trip After Hours. You'll find us on all major podcast platforms as well under the same name. Let's see, if you want to find a t-shirt real fast for Road Trip After Hours, go to ProWrestlingTees.com, Road Trip After Hours.